Coming up on the Curt podcast, I look at the Lions in the 53-man roster, give my thoughts on some players I'm surprised made it and those that didn't. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's time to start the show. What up, dude? And welcome to the Curt podcast, your trusted source for Detroit Lions news and rumors. I'm your host, Curt Steele. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel and share it with fellow Detroit Lions fans just like yourself. Follow me on your favorite social media platforms, X, Facebook, and visit my website, curtsteele.com. Today is Wednesday, August 30th, 2023. Shout out to my family over at Lions Nation Unite. Now, I said it yesterday on my minute hang with Curt, and I also said it on Monday. Today, Wednesday, was going to be dedicated to the Lions initial 53-man roster. Take a look at it, see who made it, and give my thoughts on who surprisingly made it and who didn't. So let's kind of hop into this thing, right? So the Lions released that 53-man roster yesterday by announcing some roster cuts and moves. And we kind of put together the roster based on what they said. And let's look at the offense first. Quarterbacks, you got two. You got Jared Goff and you got Teddy Two Gloves, right? One more quarterback is in the building, reserve, but he's on the reserve to NFL list. Y'all know who it is, Hendon Hooker, third-round draft pick. So that's what quarterbacks for the team right now. Surprisingly, the Lions only kept 3 running backs, and that's David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jason Kabenda as a fullback. Surprised that someone else didn't make it on the roster, but we'll get into that later. Wide receivers, you got 5. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Marvin Jones, and Antoine Green. And on suspended list, you got Jameson Williams. No really surprises there. Tight ends, we got 3, which is pretty still no surprise. We got Brock Wright, Sam Laporta, and James Mitchell. And you have the offensive line. Kind of deep group here. You got really, honestly, 6 starters. Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow, Big V, Penei Sewell, Graham Glasgow, Kobe Sorsdahl, and Matt Nelson. I kind of say 6 starters because we only got 5 on the offensive line, but I think you can mix in Graham Glasgow and Big V at any moment. They've been doing that all of the preseason. But you have pretty much 6 starter level players on the offensive line and 2 kind of backup guys. So my thoughts on the offense is I'm surprised really that the Lions only kept 2 traditional style running backs by releasing Craig Reynolds. I thought he made the roster. If you look at my video from Monday, you can go back and check it out. It's going to be in the playlist at the end of this video. So I think that he made it. I think he did enough. He really ran hard. He really led the offense on a scoring drive. But there has been rumors that the Lions are looking to upgrade that running back 3 position in the upcoming days. So it may be something, like I said, rumors swirling around that they may add a wide receiver also. So it looks like the offense may change quickly. And don't forget, not just the players that are on waivers that got released or some of the guys that we're going to have maybe clear waivers, but of course, Craig Reynolds, he didn't have to clear waivers. He got released. So players may go on different lists, injury lists, or maybe moved around on the roster. So don't count this offense as what it is right now, but things may change here in the upcoming days. The Lions got some cap space, so don't forget there's a bunch of players that just got released as well. So not just Craig Reynolds, but there's players all over the place that are looking for a home. And the Lions got some cap space, like I said, and don't be surprised if they sign a wide receiver for depth until JMO gets off of the suspended list, or a running back to solidify that 3rd spot. So get to the offensive line. And said this before, I think Jermaine Ifedi outplayed Mac Nelson in that swing tackle role. Now, Ifedi is not even an option to bring him back because he just signed with the Buffalo Bills yesterday. Got cut on Sunday, signed with Buffalo yesterday. The one thing I can say that Mac Nelson has played in real game action for the Lions, so it's not just really about preseason, it's about what he's actually done on the field. Now, he's not a long-term like swing tackle starter, but I will say this, he does have a role in the Lions heavy run sets, and he does a good job blocking in that scheme. So I think his remaining on the roster has to do with about how he played in those run sets in the past and not what he's done lately. But that's my offensive thoughts on the offense, of the initial players that's on the Lions offense for right now. But like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Hit the notification bell so you know when you're getting fresh videos right here on my YouTube channel. For more Detroit Lions content from me, head over to curtsteele.com where you can find links to my articles on Sideline Report and yardbarker.com right there on the homepage. Follow me on your favorite social media platforms. You can find the links on my homepage of curtsteele.com as well as what is the link to get yourself some Curt Steele gear. You see that Regal line up here, baby, at the LNU shop. So go and check it out. Curt Steele gear. The link to that page is a tab on the homepage of curtsteele.com. And proceeds from the sale of that gear help me grow the content right here on this channel and make this channel better for you and for me, because it make it better for me because I do this for you guys. All right, time to break down what happened on the defense. And a lot of players on the defense. So let's start first with the interior defensive line. You got 5 guys on it. You got Aleem McNeil, Isaiah Buggs, Levi Onwuzurike. I did not, to be honest with you, if you heard me talk about Levi this offseason, I didn't think that he would make this roster, but he did play well. So shout out to Levi Onwuzurike. You got Benito Jones, and you got the biggest of the biggest big fellas, Broderick Martin, to round out the interior of the defensive line. Here's a big group. I didn't think it would be this many players on this group. You have 7 edge players. You got Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Harris, John Comiskey, Josh Pascal, James Houston, and the Okwara brothers, Romeo and Julian. All right, getting to the linebacker core. Got 6 of those fellas as well. Man, this deep defense. Alex Angeloni, Jack Campbell, Malcolm Rodriguez, Derek Barnes, Jalen Reeves-Mabins, and the guy from Wayne State, Anthony Pittman, all made the initial roster. Cornerbacks, man, this is the deepest secondary I've seen for Detroit in a long time. So you have 7 cornerbacks, or some of these guys are defensive backs, where they can play either or. You got Cam Sutton, Jerry Jacobs, Emmanuel Mosley, who I said, I'm surprised with this one. Brian Branch, Will Harris, sweet Jesus, Will Harris. Stephen Gilmore and Khalil Dorsey rounds out the cornerbacks listed on the roster. And then you have 4 safeties. You got CJ Gardner-Johnson, you got Kirby Joseph, Tracy Walker, and Ifeatu Melifonwu. Okay, so, and you have special teamers. We got 3 right now. You got Jack Fox, Scott Daly, and Riley Patterson. So some really quick thoughts on the defense for me. I didn't think Emmanuel Mosley would start this season on the active roster, but he passes physical and he was removed from the PUP list. Dan Campbell talked about that Monday in his presser before they had their practice on Monday. And Will Harris, right? So, well, congratulations to Emmanuel Mosley before I get to Will Harris. I didn't think he would make it, but they said he was moving around a lot better as they moved on into that back end of training camp to end it out right before the Carolina game. but he must have done enough to get removed because he passes physical. I don't think he'll play much in probably the first week. He probably won't play against the Chiefs, but he'll get up to speed and he'll be on the field weeks 2, week 3, and on. It's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out with Jerry Jacobs having that starting role opposite of Cam Sutton right now. So Will Harris, Will Harris has secrets on somebody in the Lions brass. How the hell did he keep making the roster? I mean, sweet Jesus. But all jokes aside, right? Another coaching staff likes that he can play multiple positions in the secondary. Positions in the secondary. But I think we have a couple of guys that can do it better than Will Harris. But here's a reason why I think that, and shout out to my man Eric, he brought this up the other day on his Twitter feed. He says the Lions may be keeping him around because of a low cap hit for Harris, right? He will get paid $2.5 million this season and is fully guaranteed. So he's going to be he's going to get paid if he's on the roster or not. But why cut a guy if you're going to be paying him? I get that. And he has a 5th-year veteran benefit, right? That gives the Lions $1.35 million of cap relief to be on the roster. So it's cheaper. What's that saying? It's cheaper to keep him. So I think it's going to be cheaper and more cost effective for the Lions to keep him around for this year. Maybe a trade. I don't think so. I'm not seeing a lot of teams that will trade for Will Harris, but yeah. But he's on the roster, and I think that Chase Lucas should have made the roster over Harris, right? I think that myself. But again, hopefully we can bring back Chase Lucas to the practice squad. Like I said, these rosters aren't the initial roster that comes out day one isn't going to be the roster that's going to be going forward. It may not even last to the rest of this day. So, but these are my thoughts on the roster that came out yesterday. So, Khalil Harris, right? I think he earned his spot on special teams. Man, that guy had a wonderful return in the game against the Carolina Panthers. And Stephen Gilmore, right? That's that guy, right? Little brother of Stephon, man. Gilly did his thing. A dog out there on the field had that pick 6, man. And I was surprised, but not so much. Because if you look at what Khalil Dorsey and Stephen Gilmore did versus Carolina, they kind of outshined Starling Thomas. Now, Thomas didn't have, like, almost can't say he didn't have a good camp because he did. And he was consistent to a point, but I think he just kind of like, he got to a point and he just didn't keep progressing. So, and I don't think he dipped that much, but he's kind of just, what do you say, plateaued at one point. And I think that Dorsey showing his return skills and his special teams, and then of course what Gilmore did, man, he had like 4 passes defended, also with the pick 6. So Gilmore definitely, he stepped up as his play improved, kept improving as he got toward the end of the preseason and training camp. So that's why I think that Gilmore made it ahead of Starling Thomas the 5th. Okay, now I'm surprised going to the defensive line. I'm surprised that both Aquar brothers made this roster. I was expecting, one of them to be gone, and I thought that it would have been Julian because there were some trade rumors that the Giants were looking at him. However, this may have been Nix because he got hurt in that Carolina game. If you remember, he went in for a couple plays, and then he came out, and that may have nixed any trade for him because they couldn't trade him because he was injured coming out of that game. I don't think he was on an injury report right now. We won't know any injury reports until we look at next week, until we get into game week. But that's what I think what happened with Julian Corey. That's why they kept him on the roster. Couldn't trade him while he's injured, so I think they may be nursing him back to health. Then they may be looking at trading him down the line. So the Lions, right, they have 12 defensive linemen. 12. They have 5 interior guys and 7 edge players. That's ridiculous. 12 defensive linemen. Someone will not be on this roster in the next couple of days. I'll tell you that. And another group that's big, The Lions have 11 defensive backs. They have 7 cornerbacks and 4 safeties. And you have guys like Charles and Garney, CJ Gardner Johnson, and you have a guy like Brian Branch. These guys are listed as really defensive backs, and they can play both corner and safety. So you look at these guys, I don't think it's going to last as well. I don't think they're going to carry 11 defensive backs into the season. No, some of these guys have the added bonus of playing special teams, but you look at the bulk of this roster, right? The defense is heavy on this team. So you have 29 players on defense and only 21 on offense. I think it will get a bit even in the next couple of days, but I don't think it will even out that much. I still think it will be more of a defensive heavy team just because of the fact that a lot of the stars on the offense are pretty much set. So and the defense as well, but I think that the depth on the offense may be a player here or there, maybe an offensive lineman, maybe a wide receiver, definitely a running back. So even if you add 3 players to one and take 3 from the other, you're still going to have a more defensive heavy team, probably 26 to 23 defensive players. But you will see in the next couple of days how the Lions kind of backfill some of that depth on the offensive side. But for right now, 29 to 21, that's a pretty heavy defense for the Detroit Lions. I haven't seen that on a roster for Detroit in a while. All right. So, and this plus, stay on the lookout for Riley Patterson to have some competition or be replaced. I don't really be surprised if they sign a kicker to the practice squad to compete with Riley Patterson, but there has been noted this Deanna Rossini, excuse me, over there at The Athletic, who just moved over from ESPN. She said that the Lions are looking for a kicker. It's been known in the sources that they were looking to trade for a kicker. A couple of teams did that yesterday, kind of adding some veterans via trade. So it may be a point where they may trade for a guy or may sign a guy that has been released. So I would look for Riley Patterson to have some competition because he just, if you look at that Carolina game, man, missing an extra point, missing a field goal, man, they want a guy with a big leg that can, kick consistently over 50 yards. And they already released John Parker Romo. He was part of the roster cuts. Don't be surprised if you see him back on the practice squad either. So that is my thoughts on the Lions initial 53-man roster, offense, and defense. Let me know what you think of the roster in the comments below. Like I said, drop me a comment and I will get back to you as soon as I can. It's time for dessert with Curt. Sweet bits of news and notes about our favorite team, the Detroit Lions. NFL Films unveiled a 5-episode lineup for a new series titled Football Life Origins. If you don't know about A Football Life, kind of chronicles players from where they started from, childhood, how they got into the game until throughout the end of their career. Usually some prominent players are on this or teams. Football Life usually have Hall of Fame type players on being kind of focused on of the episodes. Now, the Football Life Oranges will be streaming on NFL Plus throughout the 2023 NFL season. Now, this series aims to document the lives of football players of current stars, the football journey, of current players in the league, and it's going to be before they enter the NFL. So, and one of the subjects of the series is our Lions wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, whose episode will be available for streaming on his jersey number, September 14th, and will air on NFL Network on September 29th. It's good to see the Sun God getting some pub on the national stage, man, right there on NFL Network and NFL Plus. Great to see that. And that's your dessert with your man, Curt, for 30 August 2023. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of the Curt Steele Podcast, your trusted source for Detroit Lions news and rumors. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Make sure you let me know how the Lions roster, how you feel about the Lions roster. Hit the notification bell so you know when you're getting fresh content from me right here on my YouTube channel. And for more Detroit Lions content from me, head over to my website, curtsteele.com. You can find links to my articles, link to this video, and my content on Sideline Report and yardbarker.com right there on the homepage. Do your man Curt Steele a favor. Whatever you do in life, you got to boss up, ball out, and be the best version of you that you can be. This is Curt Steele, and I will holla at you real soon.